there is a certain sense that duality is the source of, and in many ways, prison of suffering. And that most human beings live in a reality of dualism, good and bad, up and down, happy, sad. And that the escape from the dualistic world is to find non-duality, to find singularity, to find oneness. And in some sense, the Buddhist ideal is to escape suffering by discovering that we are the source of all being. That's our true nature. And that the source is one. And yet somehow that source explodes into duality. And we are all born into that. We are creatures of a dualistic world. And we are all, as a result, suffering. Everything you get will be lost. But then again, everything you lose will be found. Pain will turn into pleasure, pleasure will turn into pain. There's a kind of idea of yin-yang, which has something to do with the idea of balance. If you can balance these forces, you'll be more peaceful. And duality is often seen as a kind of a balancing act between these very, very big forces. But in truth, and I always use the word truth carefully because I don't think there is truth, but in the truth that I'm going to explain to you, duality is, non-duality is, we go back to duality. Duality is in and out, up and down, all around, everything, all at the same time. It's constantly happening. Everything is in constant motion. We have a good moment, we have a bad moment, we have a happy moment, we have a sad moment, and it kind of involves a kind of sense of movement. That life is constantly changing from one thing to another, and sometimes it does it in slow motion. So you have this wonderful moment of beauty, and then a little bit later you lose it. It's gone, there's suffering involved, and then something emerges again and it's beautiful, and then it's not so beautiful, and love is there and then love is gone, and you have all this kind of balletic movement between good and bad, beauty and ugliness, all the things that life is. And then there are times where it really is in rapid motion. But mostly, duality means that it's all happening at the same time. That even when we're very happy, we're in touch with sadness. And even when we're in touch with sadness, we sense that there is happiness as well. Now that's not always true. For some of us, we really lock into one aspect of duality. Victimhood, misery, sadness, unhappiness. And some of us become manic and we just go into, oh, I'm just pure joy and everything is wonderful and life is beautiful. And you have this extraordinary sense of having arrived at the pinnacle of life. I've gotten to joy. I've gotten to sublime presence. And you really feel in that you have achieved a kind of oneness. And there's a certain sense in many people that duality is achieved by, in a sense, getting out of non-duality. That joy is finally being free of the dualistic system and rising above it, or seeing through it, or realizing there's nobody to experience it. That's something I've been talking about a lot. There's no you. There's no you in it. It's only when the you comes into it that you start to feel the discord of duality. But I don't think it works that way. I think it's more that there's a you and a no you simultaneously. That there is everything and nothing simultaneously. That there is grandeur and depletion at the same time. It's all present. And this idea of escaping into non-duality, into oneness, into release from suffering, into freedom, into something that is somehow going to relieve you from your misery in life. The idea that that could happen is part of the source of misery. And the idea that you are in some way not, there's no you really, there's a truth to that. There is no you. And if there's no you, you would imagine, therefore, then you have freed yourself of suffering. But clearly, there's a you sitting here right now. There's a you. And I know the no you idea is pretty powerful. And I know when I had my awakening, the Bruce disappeared. And it was like, I am what is. I am, in a sense, the source of what is. And that all started to become a profound awareness. At the same time, there's a Bruce. Yes, you're listening to him right now. And there's a Bruce who's speaking, and there's a vast awareness that's also present, that's also speaking. It's oneness. Oneness. Oneness, in a way, is everythingness. Oneness is also nothingness. It's both. And it's incomprehensible how it can be both. How can I be everything and nothing at the same time? How can I be Bruce and Source at the same time? I've often talked about, in recent time, the incomprehensible, unknowable, unknown. And every great teacher talks about that. Because you can't figure this out. It can't be figured out. But what happens is interesting. There's this huge desire in the awakened or awakening soul to be free of the encumbrance of a body-mind, to let this go. This suffering heart, this longing for, this lack of, this rejection of, this regret for, all of this stuff that just plays inside the system. Let me be free of that. And we long for this thing of just simple, one-pointed presence, just being. As long as you're in a body, that's going to be very hard to achieve. I don't say it's impossible. I look at pictures of Nityananda walking around in a diaper and sleeping on concrete and totally not caught in the dynamic of a body very much. But I look at the rest of us and I go, we are both. We are both a body and infinite being simultaneously. How does that compute? It does not compute. It does not. But I will tell you, most of us are very imbalanced in that. Most of us are almost entirely body-mind, almost entirely caught up in the physicality, in the emotionality, in the dynamic and the drama of our daily life. And then there are those who sit and they break through that and they really feel, having been lifted up into a singular presence, that the body is really less significant. And then it still exerts a pull. And what I think starts to happen is you arrive at this place of, okay, I am, period. And that I am is vast, vast truth and being, and minute, atomic bodily self, all happening simultaneously. And what you do is you find a kind of ease with it. You just go, okay. And so you begin to find that non-duality is really settling into not fighting duality, giving up the battle, just going, I give up, I surrender. I am a dualistic entity. But the minute you truly embrace that, the minute you are no longer at war with that reality, something happens. It's so simple. You are at one with your own dualism. You are at one with your own conflict. You are at one with up and down, good and bad, easy, hard, love, hate. You're just at one with it. You're at peace with it. You're just there. And there's no embattlement anymore. There's no struggle to get away from it or to make it different or to get to the highs of it or to escape the lows of it. There's just what is. There's just this. And in a way, true non-duality is saying yes to duality. Not fighting it, not running from it, not trying to get to the place of escape from suffering. It's saying yes to suffering. And yes to the joy of being. It's an extraordinary place to be because it's where poets live. It's where artists live. It's this place where all of the dynamics of being find expression. And they find it in a kind of what appears to be moment-to-moment reality. And you stop fighting that. You stop fighting that, oh, this moment's beautiful, oh, that moment's terrible. You stop reaching for the other. You stop saying, oh, it should be different. You just go, this is what is. This is what is. Oh, this feels terrible. Oh, this is painful. And you just go, this is painful. And then beauty. And then joy. And then sorrow. And you just go, oh, this is what is. And that is non-duality. That is the awakened consciousness. Maybe there's something beyond that. You know, I had cosmic visions when I had LSD. I've had cosmic visions studying with Rudy. I've had moments of blasting out of the universe as we know it. But that's just another moment, guys. It's just another moment. It's another part of what is. I keep coming back to, as we all do, this, until we don't. We keep coming back to this. I don't care how far you go out into universal consciousness. That's part of the whole. So those of you who are running out there doing ayahuasca and DMT and all these things, the whole universe comes at you in an instant, and then you come back here and go, what was that? Well, that's part of it. It's part of it. It's everything and nothing. It's beauty and horrible. It's the totality. And you are that. You are that. You are the witness of that. Now some people will tell you, because you're the witness, you're not it, you're just looking at it. It's not true. I don't think it's true. You are the thing you're witnessing. You're the witness and the thing that's being witnessed. You are all there is. You are all there is. What does that mean? I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue. And I wish I could tell you. I wish I could give you the answer that will go, oh, I get it. But it will never be gotten, ever. And that too has to be understood. Although there will be moments where you go, oh. And they won't last, because it cannot last. I don't think it can last. It just is. So you have these gorgeous, beautiful moments of total awareness and total love and total yes to the moment and just gratitude for being. And then you have the next moment where you go, where did that go? How did that get lost? What did I do wrong? Nothing wrong. You just are human, and this thing is happening. You're witnessing it and you're experiencing it. You're alive to it, and in some ways you're dead to it. You know? The very thing that happened is just now dying. The very moment it happens, it's already dead. Boom, 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 boom. So it's being born and dying at the exact same time. Born, dead, born, dead, dead. What do you do with that? Nothing. What can you do with it? Get into your mind with it, you'll go crazy. So you just go, okay, this is how it works. Birth and death is constant. Happening, not happening, constant. Where does this leave us? Right here. It doesn't change anything except when you start to get to the point of ease. Ease is so central. Ease is kind of how you want to live. It just means you go yes. Yes to this journey instead of no to it. Or you stop thinking there's a way out, because there's no way out. The way out is yes. The way out is ease of being. And it's not a way out, obviously, it's just a way to live. It's what you're looking for. It's what we're all looking for, to just go, I surrender. You surrender, it doesn't take you anywhere else. You're still right here. You're right here. But you're here in a different way. You're not here defending, you're not here angry, you're not here, or maybe you are. Let me put it that way. Let me take this to the extreme, that you're living a miserable life. That you're fighting everything, that you're unhappy, that nothing went right, everything was wrong, you should have done it differently, you have every regret, you want to blow your brains out. All of that is one with what is. So why take that out of the equation? Why take anything out of the equation? It's all what is. I will tell you, based on my own experience in Buddhist teachings and other teachings, sometimes you have to be getting ready to blow your brains out in order to wake up, in order to figure it out. Sometimes you have to really suffer. And I don't even think sometimes. I think the doorway to finally getting anything that I'm talking about here is that you get to the point of some unbearable suffering. And I don't mean kind of suffering. I mean unbearable. Unbearable suffering. Loss. The thing you love taken away forever. The thing you most wanted not available. Absolute loss and grief and suffering is a doorway. Would I choose to make that a doorway? No. Is it the doorway? Yes. I mean, it is. Maybe there's other doorways, but I've never seen people arrive at a spiritual life through happiness. It just hasn't happened. Maybe they do. Maybe there's some out there. Be great. Be a wonderful path. Happiness leads to happiness. But usually it's the depth of despair and unhappiness that says, help me. Help me. And then you find something comes in to lead you to the thing you're looking for. Or let's put it another way, the depth of despair is the doorway to joy. Or to embrace of the totality. Happiness may be way out there in terms of experience, and not a doorway. Well, it is. You know what happiness is? It's a doorway to grief, because you're going to lose it. And you're going to lose everything that brought it about. Everything that gave you your happiness will be taken from you, because that's how it works. So, everything that is good will become bad, everything that will be bad will become good, and at this very moment, they're married. At this very moment. You don't have to walk through time and space to figure that out, which is what human beings are doing. You can just know that everything is its opposite. Everything is its opposite all at the same time. It's all contained right here in this space, and you are both the witness and the experiencer of that truth. What does that mean? Again, don't know. How do you live with it? With ease. With ease. And ease will be the gift. And ease comes from acceptance and saying yes to what is. If you try to run away from what is, you will never get there. You will never escape. The only way to get away from what is to say yes to it. And that won't exactly get you away from it. It will get you away from your urge to escape it. By saying yes to what is, you arrive at where you've always wanted to be. You're right here. And trust me, you do want to be here. You will fight. If I tried to hold your breath right now for 2 minutes, you would struggle to be here like you cannot imagine. You love this life. You love it. With all of the stuff going on in it, you love it. You are grateful to be here. You would fight to the death to stay here. Because it's an amazing reality that we're in. And this incredible duality that we experience is the singularity and the oneness that we've been seeking. So continue to love it. You already do. You already do. Love it. This is it. Be easy, open, and accept the truth of being. Any questions?
When you talk about your awakening, it didn't sound like you were in grief or, that was in the portal.
No, I mean there's lots of forms of awakening, lots of ways that it happens. I always say that my awakening started on my LSD trip. It's almost 50 years ago. It was exactly 50 years ago. That took away everything. It absolutely robbed me of everything there was. It just said to me, everything you believe is wrong, the universe is totally other than you imagine it to be, your whole ground of being is gone, figure it out. And then it also told me, tell people what you saw, which was interesting. But the figuring it out part took India, years of searching, finding Rudy, years of sitting and practice, years of effort not finding it, trying. I get it for a moment, I get it for a week, I get it for some months, gone. It kept being like that. And the final awakening was, and I've described this I think a number of times, there was this itch that was going on, this itch of still trying and not knowing what to do. And it was like so powerful, but it was this big, it was tiny. And all of a sudden, in the middle of this conversation, not a conversation, this guy, Paul Hederman, was giving a talk, and the talk, I couldn't get any of it, I couldn't figure any of it out because it was moving so fast with such velocity that I couldn't grab any of it, but I knew it was all true. And finally this thing went, and that was my awakening. It washed me out. There was just nothing left to get it. There was nothing left to understand anything. It was just gone. And everything I'm telling you now is arriving more and more like flood zones of knowledge and wisdom, flooding in from God knows where, the source. It just pours through. There's no way I know any of this. There's no way it's not Bruce, it's just this source. And whose source is this? It's our source. It's not mine. It's just flooding through. Everything I'm saying, every one of you knows and could repeat word for word the moment you get out of the way, or the moment you just say yes to what is. Just go. Because the source is so vast. And I keep thinking it's expanding, but I've been told no, it doesn't expand. It's just what it is. There's just more and more and more of it. Awareness of it. And it's so big. And the key word today was ease. Ease of being is like, and it came out of being with my granddaughter yesterday. I didn't know what to do for 4 hours with a 4-year-old. I just ran out of things to do, so I just let go. And unbelievable stuff came out of it. So much fun and joy and deep exchange, dialogue about what is the flavor of your life. We had a huge talk about flavor, and what, are you sweet, are you sour, are you bitter, are you spicy, all this just went right into her, and she was like able to describe herself as a flavorful entity. And then we started singing kirtan together, and we had a talk about flowing with life, and how life can be, choppy and smooth and stormy and all these things, and how a surfer rides the waves, and all these really deep ideas that just found their way right into her psyche. And the whole day was like that because I didn't know what to do. I had run out of ideas. I just thought, I don't know what to do with a four-year-old, 4.5-year-old. And I didn't have to figure it out. It came. That's the thing that's amazing me. My mother always told me this. She said, everything works out. It was one of the great lessons of my mother. And basically, she was trying to tell me, don't worry, because I was always worrying. I'm a major worrier. She just said, don't worry, it all works out. And it's very hard to live that truth. But it's true. It's absolutely true. The more you don't worry about it, it just comes about. All the things that you say, how could that possibly configure into something smooth and gentle and sweet? And it does. All these, these different colliding forces that should be very much an obstruction suddenly just do a dance and everything is wonderful. Over and over and over and over. If you get out of the way and don't become the very thing that instigates the obstruction, which is what we normally do. Our tension is the obstruction. Ease is the flow. And if you can just take a breath, which I also talked to her about, she said, I keep forgetting that. I said, I know, I do too. I mean, we always keep forgetting it, but take a breath, and ease comes. It comes back. It just keeps coming back. That's what we're trying to do. Anybody else?
When we were working with it, I reached a point where I felt my mind just wasn't part of the equation, and it was all an experiential sense, and the word that came to me was equanimity. And I remember someone talked about that, and you started talking about it a few years ago, I think.
It's all part of the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, that equanimity is. And
it has to do with
ease.
It's like ease and balance, except the thing to understand is non-equanimity has value as well. And when we get to that and we feel it, we go, ah. And then we immediately think that's the place to be. And when the other thing starts happening, we think that's the wrong place. And what I'm trying to say is, whatever the place is that you're in is the place you're in. And in a way, therefore, the right place. But if you want equanimity again, you can take a breath and go back to this kind of, many of us can. But there's an enormous equanimity in going okay to the craziness, okay to the tension, okay to the whole thing. That takes a whole new level of spiritual dynamic. The idea is we all try spiritually to get to the place of equanimity. I'm trying to say, embrace the other. Embrace whatever shows up. It's hard.
I think a large part of the problem is that we're always trying to analyze and understand and find explanations, and that's...
Well, it takes us to the, balance. The balance, that part of being in the head keeps us way off balance. Real balance is rooted, it's grounded. It's got the pinnacle, the triangle, if you want to use a triangle, to the base. The whole thing has to be engaged. And if you're just living in the head part, and this is not grounded, you end up in a very imbalanced state, which is where a lot of people live. Or if you just live in the heart, and your emotions are all over the place, there's no groundedness. Buddha often would just put his hands on the earth, just to triangulate. I do that too, because it absolutely reminds you of foundational being, and then all the rest of it comes into play. And the idea, in the perfect sense, is have it all in play at the same time. And when I'm working with everybody in the class, that's exactly what I'm doing. I feel the way into you where the balance is off, and I go, and I get the balance back, or I get the thing that's lost inside. I bring it back so you find it again, or whatever. There's something going on with each person that's being reconfigured in a way to bring you back into wholeness. And I never leave anyone in the class that hasn't happened. It always happens with everybody in the room. I don't know how that works. I've never understood our practice. I don't get it at all. But it does work. It just works. So equanimity is wonderful, and so is chaos. That's all I can tell you. I hate chaos. And I think we're meant to hate chaos on some level. Well, some people love chaos, but I don't love chaos. On the other hand, when it happens to me, and it does, and I see it, in my best moments I go, okay. And boy, is that powerful. It is so powerful to say yes to chaos. It's not hard to say yes to sweetness and joy. Yes to chaos is hard. In other words, I don't mean yes like dive into it and say thank you even. I mean, you could, but just go, really, thy will be done. Even this is God, or whatever you want to call it. Even this is, period. Any other questions?
Is that conference still going on? That Enlightenment conference?
No. Not that I know of. Right here. What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys.